Okay, so this is technically day 1 in the hospital. I delivered Phoenix a little early. I delivered October 31st. He is a Halloween baby. He was due November 17th. And it was pretty scary. I couldn't feel him. So, I love you. Yes, mommy loves you.
Wait, what was it?
So much.
What's that?
You got the eyes wide open now. Look. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. We can see you. We can see you. I'm right here. Yes, I am. Hey, Phoenix. Hey, Phoenix. Hey.
Phoenix Isaiah was born October 31st, Halloween baby. He was 6.11 pounds, 19 and a half inches, and he was born at 2:19 a.m. And this is the labor and delivery emergency C-section story that I've waited so long to put out, but trust me, moms, new moms out there, take your time. Get adjusted to motherhood. Enjoy all of the little moments because you will not get them back. And I took the time to heal physically and mentally. Literally, when I would try to talk about it, I would out of nowhere just start crying. And it wasn't necessarily that I was sad. I had been sad at that moment, but I guess just reliving that experience, going back to that experience made me sad. And it's kind of hard to explain. It wasn't necessarily that it was just so horrible. It was what could have happened that kept bothering me. And most of you don't know is that I almost lost him. See, even just saying that is kind of triggering me. I almost lost my baby, and I'm grateful because I know, like they said, if I would have waited until the morning to come in, because I went in literally 11:30-ish. It was 11:30, 11:45. When we got there, it was almost midnight. So they were like, if I would not have come in, they were like, he may have not made it. So all of the nurses and doctors, even though I was a mess and crying, they were like, you did so good, Mom. They kept telling me, they were like, Mom, it's okay. You did good. You did what was right for your best for your baby. So I was really distraught at the thought I almost lost him. I mean, I'm absolutely happy with the way everything happened and turned out. Now, it didn't happen the way I wanted to on paper, my birth plan, but the fact that my son is here and he's healthy, I could not ask for more. Just at the time, it was just too soon to just relive and just discuss that. But I'm so glad that I did plug in the my postpartum update video that to do your kick counts. If I could say anything, it was do kick counts, go in if you don't feel your baby. I had a subscriber write a message telling me she listened to that video. She listened to what I said in that video and went in, and she ended up having to deliver a baby. So she was so thankful that I had mentioned that. And so yeah, let's get into it from the moment I knew something was wrong. It was October 30th, and I'll never forget this. I was sitting at the table I was telling my husband, I'm like, he hasn't really been active today. Like, I haven't felt him kick as much, but he's more active at night. So I knew that about him. I was like, he would keep me up at night and he would kick more at night, especially whenever I had dinner. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat. So I ate dinner and I'm like, he's still, you know, he's not really kicking. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna drink something sweet. So I had like grape juice or something. I think Welch's grape juice. And I'm like, okay, he's not responding to that. Then I had like the Welch's cider. Wasn't responding to that. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna lay on my side. And I started the kick counts. And I was like, okay, no, okay, I'm gonna lay on my other side. I was telling my husband at the time, we were about to watch The Walking Dead, and I'm just like laying on the couch. And I was telling him, I'm like, okay, if I don't feel anything within the next hour, you know, within the next hour, and I'm doing these kick counts, we're gonna go in. And I wanna say it's like 11 something or so at this point. So nothing, like he wasn't kicking, he wasn't moving, and I'm like just like touching on my stomach, and I'm like, baby, like, okay, trying to talk to him, put mute, you know, play some music, something, nothing. So I'm like, let's go. So, you know, I'm hopeful on the way to the hospital. I'm just like, you know, I've been to the emergency room before when I had the car accident, and get there and they hooked me up to all of the stuff. I've already been through this before because I had to check on him after the accident, which was all the way like in September. So they hooked me up, and as soon as she puts the little monitor on my belly, straps it on my belly, I can hear his heartbeat, and I'm like, yes, everything's great. His heart is beating. It was like, I want to say 155 beats per minute. I think 155. I don't know. I'm thinking, you know, I'm in the clear. It's pretty much it's probably midnight by now, almost midnight. And she's like, well, we're gonna monitor you for a couple hours just to make sure everything's okay. And I'm like, cool, that's fine. And so she was like, well, I'm gonna have the OB-GYN on staff come and take a look. She's like, because baby's heart rate is too steady. So even though, you know, his heart rate, like his heart was beating, it stayed at a steady rate instead of like jumping around the place. Like, oh, she's like, it should be going up and down, up and down. She's like, this is a sign that he may be in distress. So I was like, okay. So the doctor came in and she took a look, and, you know, she was very optimistic. It's like, okay, let's take a look. I'm going to do an ultrasound. And she was just looking. She's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden she's like, well, it looks like we're gonna have a baby tonight. And I was like, no, we're not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I was just like, no. She's like, well, it looks like baby's in distress, and his heart rate, she's like, because she couldn't get him to move. Like, she was doing ultrasound. She's like, he wasn't moving. So she was like, I don't want to induce labor. She's like, we're gonna do an emergency C-section because I'm not sure if he'll make it through labor. And guys, when I tell you, I literally started bawling on the spot. I was like, he's not ready. Like, I'm gonna cry even trying to reenact how emotional I was. Like, it's like, he's not ready to come out. She's like, good thing you came in. I'm so happy you came in. They didn't think he would have made it until the morning. Like, if I would have decided to just sleep it off and wait till the next morning to go to the hospital, they were like, he may not be here. Like, he probably wouldn't have made it. So I'm sitting here boo-hooing, crying, and they like come in and they're hooking everything up to me. No, like, I couldn't believe it was happening. Number one, I went to all those Lamaze classes, like a month straight full of Lamaze classes with my husband, every single class. And like, you know, you have your birth plan and all this other stuff, and they're like, throw out all the stuff you don't want, and like, if you could just have these things, like, what would it be? What would you want to have in your birth plan? Like, everything I threw out was like happening right then and there. And I don't know, it was a bit overwhelming. Like, my husband, you know, as soon as she said it, my husband got on the phone with my family and called my parents first, and my mom said she could like hear me bawling in the background, like bawling, like, no, my God, like, I'm not supposed to have a baby today. And so at this time, like, it's Halloween, it's October 31st, and everything was just happening so fast. I was on the operating table at like 2 a.m. Like they monitored me literally for a couple hours. She came in, checked, did the ultrasound, and I was on the operating table. And so whenever they were like, your husband can't come in with you right away, like whenever they did the spinal anesthesia, and I was just so nervous and scared, so they wheeled me in without him. He had to wait outside the door, and it literally looked like a scene from a sci-fi movie or something. The room was just so white and so clean. It was like everybody was like cleaning up, suiting up, putting on their gloves, and just like they're just ready to go. And I was just like, this is happening. This is life. Like, this is really happening. I'm about to be cut open and have a baby. He's gonna be here. I was just like, I was in shock. So the one thing that really sucked about the anesthesia is that I have scoliosis. And so I had, like I told him, like my back is curved. It wasn't like really bad, but it was like he was trying to find the spot, and it was like a little to the left, a little to the right. I'm like, I hope I told him correctly. Like I was like, yeah, I think that's where it's supposed to be, because I'm like, if I don't, then it's wrong. And I was like about to freak out with it, and I just had to be so still and hunched over. It's like, you can't move, and I'm like, my back's already crooked. Like, it's just so much going through my mind. And so when it was finally in and I was on the table, my husband came in. I was so relieved to see him, but like the anesthesia, I did not react well. It was my number one, it was my first time. And like I was shivering on the table. Like I couldn't feel, like when I stopped being able to feel everything, I was like, whoa. My husband was talking me through it. He was so good. He was like, you're doing great, babe. He was like, but like I would keep trying to look off or like close my eyes, because I was like, I had been crying. And he was like, no, look at me. And he kept telling me to look at him, and kept telling me to look at him, because like to the side, he said I would have been able to see where all the blood and stuff was, whatever they draining all my blood into. He's like, I was gonna be able to see all this blood and whatever. He like kept telling me, he's like, look at me. And he was like, keep your eyes open, you know, just keep looking at me. So then whenever, like it went by so fast, because like he was born at 2:19. So they asked my husband, like, do you want to see him being pulled out? And he was like, yes. Yeah. So he was like, it was so weird, because he's like looking, he's like, and then I saw like all your guts pushed to the side. But yeah, so this is where it really hit me, because I'm like, he's out. And he was like, yeah, he's out. I was like, what does he look like? Like, I want to see my baby. And I always dreamed that like whenever he came out, I'm like sitting there reaching, like we're gonna do our skin to skin, like I'm gonna hold my baby first. So that didn't happen. And I just kept remembering that the one thing that sticks out to me, and I kept telling my husband, is like, I don't hear him. I'm like, he's not crying. It's like, I can't hear him. He's not crying. I'm like, babies cry when they come out. I'm like, my baby's not crying. He's so quiet. I'm like, what is he okay? So they took him like to a table on the side to check him out, and I guess scrub him down, do all this stuff that wasn't in the birth plan. And my husband was holding my hand, but he went over and he said they were suctioning stuff out to help him to breathe. And they brought him over to me, and the first thing I did was I gave him a butterfly kiss. And I would sometimes give my husband like butterfly kisses, but I gave him a butterfly kiss, and then I kissed him on his forehead, and just feeling his skin and seeing him. Oh, I'm not going to get emotional during this part, but I'm going to be showing like clips and pictures and stuff throughout this, because I do have pictures. But just feeling him and seeing him, like it was like the best feeling in the world, but I was also still so worried. He was so pale. Like he was powder pale. Like just, he was white. But yeah, he was really, really pale, because he had lost most of his blood. And to this day, we still don't know exactly what it was. A placenta tear, we really don't know. They chunked it up to what they thought it could have been something that happened during the accident, which was literally like 6 weeks before that. 6 weeks or more before that. They were like, maybe something happened and he slowly started bleeding, but they really couldn't tell exactly what it was that caused all of the bleeding. And I mean, if it would have happened like in September when the accident happened, like that would have had to have been like, he would have had to slowly be losing his blood. And I was like, he had been kicking and doing everything just fine up until that night. So he had been healthy, and I had, you know, been going to my OB-GYN for, you know, like every week, and he was kicking and moving around and all of that. So that was the one thing that bothered me the most, because I was like, I didn't know exactly what it was. And they did all of these tests. He had to have like 2 blood transfusions, and they checked everything. They said his brain was fine, and he just had to stay in the NICU for a while. He was in the NICU for literally like a week. We left Saturday. I went in on Sunday, and I'm so grateful that I was able to take him home with me on Saturday. So so I'll jump back to the point where after I kissed my baby and saw him, and they took him away. And all I wanted to do was hold him, but I wanted him to be okay. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was like, no, make sure everything's fine. Do what you have to do to save his life. So they're sewing me up. They wheeled me to the room. I had a wonderful nurse named April, and she basically took really good care of me. And what I do appreciate the most is that she wheeled that pump in right away. And because like I couldn't breastfeed right away, she told me to start pumping within the next hour or 2, and to keep pumping every 2 hours. So that really helped. And if you watched on Snapchat, I was struggling at first to even put a little bit in the syringe, but like it was a struggle in the beginning to get my milk to come in. But anybody that is pumping or breastfeeding, just keep doing it. Just even if nothing's coming out, just keep doing it every 2 hours until your milk comes in. First your colostrum is gonna come in, and that was so sticky, but then just keep going, your milk should come in. So yeah, I've been exclusively pumping since day 1, since October 31st. He has had nothing but my breast milk, and he's been gaining weight perfectly fine. So I'm very grateful for that, and grateful that she had me start pumping right away. So so I started pumping, and like my husband was with him in the NICU, and I couldn't be in there, even though I did get to see him and kiss him and stuff. But it was like, I want to be with my baby. That's why I was just like, when can I see my baby? When can I see my baby? When can I see my baby? And they were like, oh, in this many hours. Then they were like, oh, there's still people in there operating. It was like doctors in there, so it wasn't enough room for me to go, because they would have to wheel my bed in. So I had to wait till there was room in the NICU for my bed to be next to his. So it was around noon the next day. It was around noon, well, that same day, because he was born at 2, and then it was like noonish. That just seemed like an eternity though. So whenever I was wheeled in, it was just like, I was grateful. It was like, here's my baby, he's alive. But it was just like seeing all of these cords and machines hooked up to him. It broke my heart. And so I didn't want to leave, but then I had to leave, and I had to heal. Y'all, I was literally walking the next day. I kid you not. Some people were like, you just had a C-section and you were walking the next day? I was wheeled to the NICU once. I was wheeled, and they were like, okay, you know, then you can like push the wheelchair. And then it was something else they told me I could do. Then I could hold on to something else. And I was just like, okay. I was wheeled down once. Then if I felt like I was just like scooting along, I had my husband push the wheelchair behind me just in case I fell and busted my butt. But I was walking on November 1st. And the funny thing is that I don't know if some of you know, November 1st is my husband's birthday, my mom's birthday, and his mom's birthday, my mother-in-law's birthday. So during my pregnancy, everyone, because Phoenix was due November 17th, people kept saying, what if he's born on November 1st? What if he's born? I was like, do not speak that. Do not speak that into existence, because that means he would be born early, and I do not want that. I was like, no, if he's supposed to be due on November 17th, I want him to go his full 40 weeks. And look, he was almost born on November 1st. So I was like, he said he was gonna outdo y'all. He was born on Halloween. And my mom always was like, Halloween is a fun day to have a birthday. So she was always like, she barely missed Halloween. So Phoenix has a party birthdays. Like, everybody's already ready to party and wanting to dress up in costumes. So what more can he's gonna have like the best birthday parties. So anywho, let's talk about more so my experience. I did react negatively to the anesthesia in a way. Like, I was throwing up a lot. But I had a great stay at the hospital. I'm trying to think, what am I leaving out? Like, he's here, he's healthy, and that's all that matters. It was just the thought of losing your child, or you're in a situation where you could lose your child. That is I said I wouldn't do it this video. That is hard. But again, like, he's here, so that's what matters. We gave all the nurses and doctors, I think we were short a couple cookies, but we had these special onesie cookies made. They were in cute, like, boy colors, and they were like really cute. I hope I have video footage of these cookies, but we gave everybody a treat that was there and that helped us and just treated us so well and made sure the baby was taken care of. So we had a great staff, and I feel like I've left something out. If you want to know more about my hospital stay or anything like that, I have a what's in my hospital bag on the My Natural Sisters channel, but I'll make a playlist here so that you can watch that video and all of my pregnancy updates. I'm just so thankful for the outcome, and I'm just happy and blessed that my son is here. And I have such a great family and support system, and thank you for all of your comments throughout my entire pregnancy. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what else you would like to see here on my individual channel. And until next time, peace out.